Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Earlier on, we have looked at the three parts, the three videos of ZESCO electricity progressive tariffs. Uh, in this series, which will be two videos, we will look at why investing in solar power now is a very good decision in Zambia. And to look at it, we built on the knowledge that we have covered in the three parts of the videos looking at ZESCO electricity progressive tariffs. So, as part of the three videos, we looked at the three bands when it comes to the progressive tariffs from ZESCO. We looked at the base tariff band and also looked at the increments when you move from the first band to band 2, from the first band to band 3, and from the first band to band 4. And you see that you move with 186%, 591%, and 886%. We also looked at the graphical representation on how the electricity actually increases when you increase your consumption from 100 to about 1,100 units or kilowatt hour per month. So we also looked at 12 months and also 60 months or equivalent to 5 years on how the graphical representation actually look. You can see that you have got an increase in how the cost of electricity projects the more you consume on electricity. So one of the key messages that we looked at was that for more consumption, you actually start to pay higher on the cost. 100 units and 200 units, which covered the tariff in band 1 and the tariff in band 2, actually present to you a cost optimal. The moment you move out of band 2, you go to band 3 and band 4, which is above 200 units, less than or equal to 400 units. It depends on your situation, but after 400 units, the recommendation was that you should invest in a solar PV power system. So ideally, we will now start to look at why is it optimal? Why is it a good idea if you want to invest? To start with, we show you the approved residential tariffs, of course, showing band 1, 0.35 Zambian kwacha per unit, band 2, 1 kwacha per unit, band 3, 2.42 Zambian kwacha per unit, and band 4, 3.45. On the right-hand side, we see an extract from one of the presentation from ZESCO, which shows how a 500 500 Zambian kwacha will actually help you to purchase the number of units, which is a total of 350 received in this case. So the separation are that within the first 100 units, it will cost 35 Zambian kwacha. The second 100 units in progression will cost 100 kwacha, and the remaining amount in 500, which is about 150 units, will cost 365. So essentially, if you buy units for 500 Zambian kwacha, they will be around 350 units. If you jump to 1,000, and then you see that the first 400 units will actually cost 619, and the remaining 381 will enable you buy 110 units. So ideally, it's either you use energy wisely to save, or you invest in a solar system to save. So as a basis of illustration, we also gave the different scenarios pertaining to if you use 100 units per month, the cost is actually 35 Zambian kwacha. If we go down the series to about 1,200 units, and then the cost would go to 3,379. And also we have the different average cost per unit that is aggregated together in that month. If you consume 100 to 1,200 units, that's an aggregation of the cost per unit. Then we also show how the increment moves when you consider 12 months. That is from 420 if you consume 100 units per month to about 40,548 if you consume 1,200 units. Then if we project over 5 years, assuming this is the cost that you move with going from year 1 to year 5, you'd actually spend about from 2,100 to about 202,740 or 202,740. So for us to actually give a scenario or do an analysis to see how this has got an impact on you and why it is a good idea to invest in solar, we pick 600 units for illustration, which translates to about 1,309 Zambian kwacha per month. In terms of the aggregated average cost, this is 2.18 Zambian kwacha per unit, and then this translates to about 15,708 for 12 months, and also 78,540. So the first part that we look at is that if you have no solar investment, what basically happens? So we are saying that in a month, you consume 600 units, and this will cost you 1,309 Zambian kwacha per month. If we go into 12 months, you actually consume 7,200 units, and these will cost you 15,708. If we look at a period of 5 years, you actually consume 36,000 units, and which will cost about 78,540. So similarly, for 8 years, 10 years, and 20 years, you actually consume 57.6 thousand units, 72,000 units, and 144,000 units in progression of 8 years, 10 years, and 20 years. And then this will cost you 57,080 kwacha for 10 years. It will cost you 125,664 Zambian kwacha for 8 years, and it will cost you 314,160 Zambian kwacha for 20 years. So what we are saying is that in this scenario, there is no solar PV investment. So what happens is that without no investment in solar, all these payments are done towards ZESCO. All these payments are done towards ZESCO. On you as a customer, when it comes to consideration of solar PV, you have got no asset that you own to yourself, no asset ownership at the end of the period, either it's for a month, for 12 months, for 5 years, for 8 years, for 10 years, or 20 years. So the amount stipulated is actually what you'll be paying to ZESCO. So if we move on, we can actually do another projection where we look at now what is the cost implication. Per month, you pay 1,309 Zambian kwacha to ZESCO. For 1 year, you pay 15,708. For 5 years, you pay 78,540. For 10 years, you pay 157,080 Zambian kwacha to ZESCO. For 15 years, you pay 235,620 Zambian kwacha to ZESCO. For 20 years, you pay 314,160 Zambian kwacha, and for 25 years, this will translate to about 392,000 kwacha, 700. So there is no investment. All these payments are done to ZESCO. So for all these years, assuming the tariff does not increase, this is how much you pay per month, per year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. If you have got no investment in solar PV. So it will still be a cost on you. It will actually go higher if the cost per tariff band actually increases in the future. So which means these projections are based on what the tariff is today. If we move in the future, then this would actually cost more. So now, when we look at, let's take 5 years and basically invest in a solar system. So the cost that you'd have paid for 5 years, we invest in a solar system. So at the current rate, the rate that has been used of exchange between the Zambian kwacha and the US dollar, this is approximate or equivalent to 4,200 US dollar. So what we are saying is that this amount, invest in a solar PV system, and based on the true cost, inclusive of purchases, inclusive of materials for installation, and inclusive of the installation fee. This is based on an optimal price that is not overpriced. You'd actually get 9 panels, either 550 or 580 watt solar panels, a 6.2 or 6 or 5 kilowatt hybrid inverter, and also a 15 or 16 kilowatt hour battery. And this will give you a maximum production of about 26 to 28 units per day in Zambia. This will actually give you a maximum production of about 26 to 28 units per day. So this is what you would get for an investment in, or that would cost you 5 years of your bills to ZESCO. So what we are actually saying is that if you get this amount, invest it in a solar system, what you actually spin in terms of saving is that you will save this 1,309 Zambian kwacha per month. So instead of paying to ZESCO, you actually pay yourself. Instead of paying to ZESCO, you actually pay to yourself. So if you are to invest this amount, you actually save 15,708 Zambian kwacha in annual electricity bills that you should have paid to ZESCO. And which means that every month you actually pay yourself. And in addition, this investment actually requires an upfront cost of 78,540. It requires an upfront cost of 78,540. So if you save the 1,309 in 20 years, you actually have got a net lifetime advantage stroke savings on your electricity bills amounting to 235,620 Zambian kwacha. This is your lifetime saving for 20 years. Of course, different values you would save if it's for less than 20 years, if it's for 10 years, if it's for 5 years. But what this implies that if you were to invest 78,540, which is equivalent to 4,200 US dollars, you can actually invest in a solar systems that can produce the energy that you need, and you save on the 1,309 Zambian kwacha per month. And also, in the next part of the video, we also look at ways in which actually you can finance the 78,540. So at this moment, what we are saying is that the cost of electricity has increased. The cost of electricity has increased. So if you have no investment in PV, this will translate in a huge cost over time. At 5, at 10, at 15, at 20, and at 25 years. This will translate in a huge cost over time because the cost of electricity has increased. It will even get worse if the current tariffs are increased in the future, maybe in a year or in 2 years, then it changes the overall dimensions. But also, what is important is that you can actually invest in the solar PV power systems, and it gives you the opportunity to acquire wealth, because a solar system can actually become a wealth generating asset for you, because we were able to see that if you invested, you actually save the amount that you are supposed to pay from ZESCO. So, which means that this solar PV system will actually become a wealth generating asset for you. And if we look at it in terms of investment, we are looking at, if we look at the 5 years cost of electricity, already saving for a year in tariffs or in electricity bill to ZESCO gives you already a return of 20% per year. This gives you a return of 20% per year. So this is one investment that has got a potential to enable you wealth creation. So when you look at it, without the investment, you have an accumulation of huge cost over time. You lose out because the cost of electricity has increased. And there's a possibility it may increase in the future. So you have the opportunity to make a decision to invest in a solar PV system. And in this example, we've actually utilized 600 units as an example, but we also see that you have got other aspects, other different types of consumption that you can actually use. So this would still translate to about 20% return when it comes to the cost of electricity per year. And in this first phase, where we looked at why it is a very good decision to invest in a solar PV system today and now in Zambia, The answer is that the cost of electricity has increased. And if you don't have an investment, this will be a huge cost over time, 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25 years. But if you are to invest, this already gives you a 20% return per year if we consider a projection of investing 5 years of your electricity bill into a solar PV system. And this gives you an opportunity to acquire a solar PV system that has got potential to wealth creation because it becomes a generating asset for you. You save monthly electricity bill, which you eventually pay yourself. In the next video, we look at it and also do projection of the payback when you invest the 5 years electricity bills into your solar PV system. What is the payback period when there is no investment of what you save in another investment vehicle? And also when you have got that investment of what you save, for example, in government bonds. That's an example. So we'll look at that in the next video. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.